Some mysteries refuse to be forgotten. Some legends never fade. And some conspiracies demand to be uncovered. This is Codename Unknown. Mysteries, conspiracies, and legends. Where expert investigator and host Jackson Wolf dives deep into history's most perplexing enigmas, chilling folklore, and secretive cover-ups. Each week, he pushes the boundaries of what we know, uncovering hidden truths and questioning the stories we've been told. The search for answers begins now. Open your mind, question everything, and step into the shadows.
Cold open. You're standing in a bathroom at 2:13 a.m., light dim, fan humming. You lean toward the mirror to check a freckle. Your reflection leans too, then its eyes hesitate a fraction longer than yours. The fan sputters. A second face seems to sharpen behind your own, familiar yet not. You blink and the room snaps back. Was it a trick of light, a tired brain, or something watching from the other side? I'm Jackson Wolf, and tonight on Codename Unknown we ask, do mirrors merely reflect, or do they sometimes look back? Let's test that boundary together. Across cultures, mirrors were never just decor. In Jewish mourning traditions, families cover mirrors so the soul of the deceased isn't trapped or distracted by vanity. In parts of Victorian England, mirrors were draped to prevent the newly dead from catching their reflection and lingering. Some Romani customs treat reflective surfaces as thresholds that bargain with spirits. In Russia, leaving a mirror facing a door invites misfortune to step in. Others saw protection. Polished bronze in Egypt reflected warding light. Whether dangerous or protective, the common thread is clear. Mirrors mediate between bodies and essences. That liminality feeds magic. Ancient Greeks practiced katoptromancy, lowering a mirror into water to diagnose illness or glimpse destiny. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, scryers gazed into polished metal, water bowls, or crystal to invite visions. The most famous practitioner, John Dee, advisor to Queen Elizabeth II, consulted a polished black obsidian disc, his spirit mirror, likely imported from Mesoamerica. Dee's records report angelic communications, sigils, and warnings. Whether you take his notes as invention, trance product, or genuine contact, the operating premise stands: a mirror is a screen for messages from beyond ordinary perception itself. In Nahua thought, mirrors were not passive. Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, carried an obsidian mirror that revealed fate and transgression, but also emitted smoke, obscuring truth. The symbol captures ambiguity. See too much and you're burned, see too little and you're lost. Priests used reflective obsidian to divine omens, while rulers consulted mirrors before war or policy. Here the mirror is power, a negotiated gaze between human and God. It doesn't merely reflect, it chooses, edits, and warns, much like our attention filters the world to tell us what matters. Then there are Chinese magic mirrors, bronze discs polished to a bright face and cast with patterns on the back. Shine a beam of light on the mirror and, astonishingly, the projection shows the back's hidden pattern, as if the mirror were transparent. For centuries, it seemed supernatural. The explanation is optical engineering. Minute thickness variations created during casting and polishing form a perceptible relief on the front surface. That relief modulates reflected light, encoding the pattern into the beam. Rational mechanism, yes, but it preserves the lesson. Mirrors can carry secret images. Folklore keeps the charge alive. The Bloody Mary game asks you to chant a name before a dark mirror until a face appears. Slavic midnight rituals pair candles with a mirror and a window to lure a future spouse's reflection. What's really happening? Ritual structure primes your attention. Repetition, low light, and a countdown synchronize breath and heartbeat, narrowing focus. Social scripting tells you what to expect, and the brain obliges, amplifying ambiguous shadows into narrative. The mirror becomes a stage where suggestibility, group pressure, and sensory deprivation conjure exactly what the story prescribes. And that fear has economics. The superstition that breaking a mirror brings 7 years bad luck appears in Roman sources linking mirrors to the soul and a 7-year cycle of bodily renewal. If a mirror captured essence, shattering risked harming it until the person renewed. Later, practical incentives joined in. Early glass mirrors were costly, so guilds and households inflated taboos to discourage careless servants. Even today, we rescue luck by sweeping shards, burying them, or waiting out the cycle, rituals that grant us agency when chance feels hostile and reflections feel alive. Psychology explains a surprising amount. Pareidolia is our tendency to see faces in randomness. The brain is face-hungry, so noise resolves into eyes and mouths. The Troxler effect, discovered in 1804, makes unchanging peripheral details fade during fixed gaze. In dim light, your features near the edge blur, morph, and reappear. Combine them and you get the strange face in the mirror illusion documented by Giovanni Caputo. After several minutes of low-light staring, many participants report monstrous, unfamiliar, or deceased faces. No demons required, just adaptation, expectation, and a visual system optimizing signal by editing reality itself. Neurology pushes further. Mirror self-misidentification, a delusional misidentification syndrome, leads patients to insist a mirror person is an imposter. Hypnotoscopy produces the sensation of seeing or feeling a double of oneself, sometimes from outside the body. Derealization detaches the world's realness. These phenomena often implicate right frontal and temporoparietal networks, areas that integrate body maps, vision, and belief. The predictive processing model suggests the brain constantly guesses what it will see. When sensory data are ambiguous, the guess can dominate. In a dim mirror, that domination can feel like a watcher asserting independent intent there. Claims of haunted mirrors persist. The Myrtles Plantation mirror allegedly traps family spirits. Visitors report handprints and faces. The captain's mirror aboard certain museum ships reflects shadowy figures. Antique shop mirrors are blamed for nightmares. What's documented? Mostly anecdotes, smudges that resemble prints, and photos with flash glare producing pareidolic forms. Plausible explanations include oxidation patterns in silvered backing, uneven cleaning, double pane reflections, and contextual priming in haunted settings. Yet witnesses often describe coherent, repeated motifs which deserve cataloging. A good investigator honors testimony while separating environmental quirks from truly anomalous consistencies. Optics also dispel urban myths. A true two-way mirror is a partially reflective, partially transmissive glass backed by a thin metal layer installed between a brightly lit room and a darker observation space. If you're on the bright side, you mostly see yourself. In the dark side, observers see through. Lighting is decisive. The famous fingernail test, touching glass to see if fingertip and reflection meet, is unreliable. Modern mirrors vary, and window glass can mimic either effect. Better checks: change the lighting, cup your hands to block glare, look for ventilation gaps, and tap for framing. Modern anxieties shift the watcher from spirits to systems. Mirrors can hide cameras, but so can smoke detectors, wall chargers, or picture frames. Smart displays with reflective glass complicate trust. What's prudent? Assume any rented space may host surveillance. Do a slow sweep. Look for tiny pinhole lenses, unusual indicator lights, or devices plugged where they don't belong. Use your phone's flashlight at an angle to catch lens glints. Scan Wi-Fi for unfamiliar devices. Listen for clicks. Reasonable vigilance protects privacy without tipping into paranoia. Risk is non-zero, but context and evidence matter. If you encounter a mirror anomaly, treat it like fieldwork. Evidence checklist: note time, location, mirror type, and recent cleaning. Document lighting sources, intensities, and any flicker. Time the duration in seconds or minutes. Vary angles by moving your head and the light. Record video with fixed framing and locked focus. Collect independent written witness accounts before group discussion. Establish baselines by testing on different nights. Physically inspect backing, frame, and nearby electromagnetic sources. Small habits turn stories into testable data. Note ambient sounds, temperature shifts, and your emotional state before and after. Write immediately. Want to test mirror perception safely? Try this protocol. Sit alone in a quiet room at night. Place a dim, indirect light behind you. Keep the mirror about arm's length. Set a timer for 8 to 10 minutes. Fix your gaze between your eyes on the bridge of your nose. Breathe steadily. Do not chant or call names. When the timer ends, immediately write timestamp notes of any changes you perceived, including onset times. Ethical note: if you're prone to anxiety, sleep paralysis, or dissociation, skip this. Stop immediately if distress rises. So, what are mirrors? Portals, projectors, or both? The cleanest answer is interfaces. They reflect photons while inviting our predictive minds to complete the picture. That interface can host spiritual practice, psychological exploration, and deception in equal measure. Maybe the veil is partly in the glass, partly in us. Your turn. Send me your mirror stories, recordings, and sketches. If you run the experiment, include photos of the setup, light measurements if possible, and your timestamp notes. Propose tests we can run on air. In a future episode, we'll analyze your data together. No spoilers, just patterns. This has been the Mirror's Secret on Codename Unknown. Tonight we crossed from ancient soul catchers and Tezcatlipoca's smoking obsidian to John Dee's spirit mirror, Chinese magic mirrors, and the rituals that prime expectation. We mapped superstition to economics, explored pareidolia, Troxler fading, and strange face illusions, and followed neurology into predictive brains that can summon watchers. We separated haunted lore from material quirks, debunked the fingernail test, and weighed privacy risks. You leave with tools, an evidence checklist, a safe experiment, and a framework: portal, projector, interface. I'm Jackson Wolf. Stay curious, stay kind, and watch who's watching.
You've been listening to Codename Unknown: Mysteries, Conspiracies, and Legends. The search for answers never stops, and the truth is always waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed the journey, subscribe to us, and don't miss what's next. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning everything.